Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mr. Hino with Mr. Hino's LEGORobotics. Today's video is going to be about FLL missions. And for FLL missions, they can be frustrating, they can be confusing, they can be just monumental in trying to get them to work. Today's video is going to be, what do you do when an FLL mission becomes just very difficult and hard? This is going to be cool. Stay with me. And after watching this video, if you like what you see, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right there. Come on, I know you can do it. So FLL missions have a certain percentage of success, like anything else does. You guys know that I'm a pretty big fan of basketball. So when you're taking a shot in basketball, you have a degree of success. The farther away you are, the less degree of success you're going to have. So you use the kind of same mindset when you do an FLL mission. Let me demonstrate. Okay, so here we go. I have 3 wadded up pieces of paper, and there's my coffee cup over there. No, I don't even drink coffee. So here's my goal. My goal is to try to get this into that coffee cup. And yes, when you're doing an FLL mission, you guys sometimes know it can seem like it's going to be that hard. Like, Mr. Hino, the chances of getting this done is really hard. So here we go. Oh, that didn't go so well. Oh, that didn't go so well either. Oh, okay, so let's go over the obvious. The reason why this is so hard is the cup is so small and the paper balls are so big. And that's going to make the success really hard. And the cup is far. So when you're doing an FLL mission, you kind of want to have the mindset that you would of making this easier. So what would make getting these paper balls into that cup a lot easier? Well, let's go over it. Number 1, we can make the cup bigger. That would make this a lot easier. Or we can make the paper balls a lot smaller. That would be a great idea too. And thirdly, we could actually move the cup closer. That would make it easier too. So in an FLL mission, we're going to kind of use the same concepts to increase our rate of success. And let's go to the FLL board and I'll show you this. Okay, everybody, I'm at the FLL board here, and I have the Spring Showdown mat and models that we're going to participate in March. But let me just go over a real quick FLL mission and show you how we incorporate just making a mission a lot more simple and increasing your odds of getting it done. So here is the mission I'm going to be talking about here. So here's base right here. And our job is to bring the core samples back to base here. So there are several variables that make this pretty tough. Number 1, the model is not perfectly straight coming back to base here. You can see that. Number 2, this model is pretty big as far as trapping that, doing whatever your robot can to bring it back to base. It's not as easy as bringing back maybe one of these core samples. The model's big and it's going to be tough to bring this back. And number 3, it is pretty far. I mean, it would be a heck of a lot easier if it was sitting right here where this food production model is. So let me go over what can make this tough, and on the flip side, what can make this a lot easier. Let me get my robot. Okay, so the way that this could be tough is when your robot and your team and whoever might have the idea of getting this done tries to make this to be too perfect. Case in point, and this is not necessarily modified to get this done, but you can maybe kind of picture it. So let's say your team built an attachment that would go over this model and you would bring it back. Now, unless this attachment was super huge, and we're kind of thinking about those paper balls again. Let's say this attachment just barely made it over and was to bring it back. Now your team has to be perfect. The angle has to be correct. It has to stop at the perfect time. attachment has to close at the perfect distance. And then coming back is another total different story here. But let's just talk about the attachment. We're trying to be overly perfect here. And what we have to do is now think, okay, let's increase the odds of getting this done. Is there an attachment that doesn't have to be as perfect as this one would have to be? So let's take a look at that. So I went ahead and took another robot and just put this attachment over here on the side, over here on the left. And so now, instead of having this attachment having to be perfect and closing perfectly down on it, stopping at the perfect time, you can see here with this robot, I don't have to be as perfect. So instead of coming down on it, my robot here with this attachment over here, I can come over here and just have this turn, capture it, and bring it back to base instead of having to come down on it. And you guys know in FLL, it's really tough to come backwards on certain things. You and your team have to discuss what's better, coming backwards or going forwards when you're pulling something, pushing something. In this case here, this would be a heck of a lot easier to go forward on than to come backwards, because there are some issues with your attachment coming down too hard and then it lifts your robot up. It changes the direction of where your robot's going. So in this case here, this would be better to trap this. And look how I don't have to be as perfect. Watch this. So if my robot goes too far, I'm still able to trap this and get this. So you can see here with time, distance, degrees, whatever your team is using, I can come here, I can capture it here. If I go a little too far, I can still capture it. So let's go ahead and see this mission in action. And we're back in the base. So that's just a case where we took some attachments, we simplified it so it doesn't have to be completely perfect. We made it so that it's not something where the backup was going to be super hard. So it's just taking parts of the robot that you have over the course of weeks, months, and years, just have learned about how this robot operates to make life a little easier and make the success rate of your mission a lot better. Another thing also that you might have noticed about that mission is I made the least amount of turns as possible. So when you're taking a look at your missions, you might want to ask yourself, am I making too many turns? Is one turn having to be too perfect to make another turn perfect? So in the life and world of FLL here, we always want to ask ourselves, was this necessary? Can we simplify the way our robot is operating so that every turn, every forward, every backwards doesn't have to be perfect and rely on everything else? Can we simplify it so that we have the least chances of something messing up? Another thing to think about with your robot here is the food production model. Now in this case here, this food production model is supposed to get pushed in until it becomes green. But if you push it too far, it goes out of the green scoring section. So you might think with this mission, okay, we just have to make sure our backup goes just long enough so that we stop on the green. So we have to make sure our time, degrees, or rotations, whatever your team is using, has to be perfect. rather than making that perfect in your program, why not making it perfect with your robot? So in this case here, this attachment here in the back just prevents this robot from pushing it any further. So this here is just increasing the chances of success by having this robot back up, and it's not allowed to go past this green section. So we've increased the chances of success, not necessarily in the program, because I could put this backwards on forever, but this robot just won't push it any farther and get out of the scoring section here. So there's another case where you can increase the chances of getting this mission done if you do something to your robot, and you don't have to always make sure that your time, degrees, or rotations are perfect. Okay guys, so you can see that if we take an FLL mission and we just simplify it, if we can take your robot's attachment and make it so that it doesn't have to be as perfect, just little things like that can increase your chances of getting this mission done. And you can see that if we change some variables, we can become a lot more successful in getting something done. Okay guys, hopefully you found that helpful with your FLL team, your FLL season, your just FLL knowledge, and you're hopefully going to find yourself becoming less frustrated and more successful. Okay? All right guys, I am Mr. Hino with Mr. Hino's LEGORobotics. I'm out.